If you're just joining my channel, my name is Eric and this is my garage. And in my garage, I like to work on my cars, show you guys some helpful tips, and review products here and there. Now, this vehicle next to me does need to get its brake fluid changed, so let's go ahead and get that video underway. Before we start working on the vehicle, we're going to first jack up the vehicle with a jack. Once we have it jacked up in the air, we're going to go ahead and support it with jack stands. Now we're going to go ahead and do this just so that we're safe and that there's no issues when we're underneath the vehicle. You should always just use your jack to jack up the vehicle and use the jack stands to support the vehicle when it's lifted up in the air. There's a lot of different ways to do a brake fluid flush on your vehicle, but the process that I'm going to show you is going to involve you lifting up your vehicle completely off the ground. The reason we're doing this is because we're going to do a complete flush involving all four wheels and all four calipers. Before you start working on your vehicle, give it a nice shake to make sure that everything is secure. In front of me, I have some of the tools and equipment that I use to do the brake fluid flush on my vehicle. On the left hand side, I have some clear hoses right here that are going to be useful to see the clear fluid coming out of the brake fluid. I also have some sockets in front of me and a 10mm wrench that's specific to my vehicle along with a flathead. I also used a clear bottle to collect all the brake fluid coming out of the caliper, and we also want to replace that fluid with .3 brake fluid. And then I also have something to support that bottle. We're going to go ahead and start off by removing the wheel. If you don't have power tools or impact tools, you might want to go ahead and loosen up the lug nuts on the wheels before you jack up the vehicle, because once you jack it up, you won't be able to remove them. For demonstration purposes, I'm only going to show you how to do a brake fluid flush on the front driver's side of the vehicle, because this is basically going to apply to all four calipers on the vehicle. Once you reach this step, we're going to go ahead and locate the bleeder valve. On this vehicle, we have it on the top left corner right here. You can normally identify them by a rubber seal that is covering the bleeder valve. This is to prevent any dust from getting in there. Now, the method that I'm going to show you guys is going to be the two-person method, which is going to involve one person being inside the cabin and somebody else being outside, loosening up the bleeder valve. Whenever you do a brake fluid change on your vehicle, you always want to start off on the caliper that's farthest away from the driver's side. So this is actually going to be the passenger side rear caliper, and then you're going to go ahead and move on to the driver's side rear caliper, and then move on to the passenger side. You're going to go ahead and finish off on the driver's side caliper. This is done so that you can completely remove all the dirty fluid from the brake lines. Now, this is actually very successful, and it's a good way to bleed your calipers and to also change the fluid in them. So let me go ahead and show you guys how this is basically done. Like I said, we're only going to be doing it on this driver's side, but this process is going to apply to all the calipers since basically they're all the same. Start off by removing the bleeder valve cover on the caliper. You want to get something to hold a container that you're going to be collecting the old fluid from. So I'm using a empty water bottle right here to collect all the brake fluid that comes out of the caliper. You're also going to need a set of land wrenches or wrenches to loosen up the bleeder valve. And I'm also going to be using a clear hose right here to attach to that bleeder valve so that we can see when the fluid is coming out of the brake caliper. So you want to make sure that your water bottle or a container is slightly higher than the bleeder valve itself, because as we all know it, air travels upwards. So you want to make sure that the air and all the liquid goes upwards so that we don't introduce any air into the brake system. Now that we have our setup ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and have my wife help me out. I'm going to instruct her to step on the brakes. When I instruct her to do that, I'm going to open up this bleeder valve, and that's going to allow the liquid to come out. And then right after that, I'm going to go ahead and close off the bleeder valve so that we don't introduce any air into the brake system. So let me go ahead and show you guys how that's going to look. Go ahead and step on the brakes. Now we're going to go ahead and open up the bleeder valve. As you guys can see, air and fluid is coming out, but we're going to go ahead and close it right away so that we don't let that back in. Go ahead and take off your foot from the brakes. Now go ahead and start pumping up the brakes until the brake pedal feels firm again. Now that we have confirmed that the brake pedal is nice and firm, we're going to go ahead and repeat this process about 4 to 5 times on each wheel. After that, we're going to go ahead and look at this line right here to make sure that the liquid is coming out clear. In the meantime, what you want to do is top off your brake fluid reservoir so that you don't run dry. As you guys can see on our brake fluid reservoir, our brake fluid level is pretty low. So we want to make sure that we continuously take a quick look at this to see where the level is at. And as you guys can see, our vehicle requires 4.3 brake fluid. So that's what we're going to be adding today. Now, this is going to be vehicle specific. So just make sure that you use your specific brake fluid that your manufacturer wants you to use on your vehicle. Now that we have topped off the brake fluid reservoir, we're going to go ahead and continue. So go ahead and apply the brakes. And we're going to go ahead and break this loose again. We're going to go ahead and tie it down. Go ahead and lay it off. All right, now she's going to go ahead and pump up again. Okay, hold it. Go ahead and let off and pump. I've repeated this process about 10 times now, and you guys can see that this line right here is getting clearer because all the liquid that's inside of there is escaping, which is the darker fluid that's on the bottom. Now, like I said, you want to go ahead and start off to on the farthest wheel, the farthest caliper from the driver's side, and move your way up to the driver's side. This is going to ensure that this is perfectly clear at the end of your flush. This is the old brake fluid that came out of the caliper, and this is brand new brake fluid. This will conclude the end of the video. I hope that you guys found some information helpful, and if you guys did, please make sure to give me a big thumbs up. It does help me out a lot. And if you guys are not subscribed to my channel, please consider it for more videos like this. I'll catch you guys all in the next video.